Alright. Mm, 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 mm.
Sorry about that. Know what that was. Big sell off here. I did catch a good pre-market trade up here that I can walk through in a minute. Tail out. I don't need that anymore. So that's still relevant. All right, so now we're below previous day low on both indices. Looks to be about to tap this new week opening gap from 2 weeks ago. So we've sold off into that gap to here. I would assume all this inefficiency is still present. Let's look what we have lower on NQ here. So we got a nice daily level down in here. Fair value gap, daily fair value gap, inversion from there, and we have a balanced price range there. So I got that marked here. Got some 4-hour lows. I got this marked as a relative equal to this. So we can throw a line there too. For potential targets. And then of course, this new week opening gap hasn't been touched at all. So right at the 4-hour start of the next 4 hour, which is my favorite time. This is full inverse now. This one's still hanging on. This S&T is gone. This thing was just ripping. I would have held this, man. Jeez. So what I would like to look for now is we have the start of the 4 hour coming. I want to see the 4 hour open. Like if this leaves this low, that would be great. But we at least have these pretty close on NQ. So I'm looking for where can it manipulate into? Where can the high of the next 4 hour candle wick, assuming it's bearish? Where could it go? We got a 1 hour way up here. Don't see it retracing that much. This 30 has already been filled off this wick. Nothing there. But what pops to my mind is this 15-minute. So good. We have the corresponding gap on ES, meaning it's in the same spot as NQs. I forget pictures in the way of my NQ chart. Mm. So now we just need, hopefully all these liquidities don't get ran through before. Here's the 4 hour open. It's a long way for it to go before taking those. Already up on the day. Be super aggressive. I would love this though. Even something like that. I would love that. Not gonna get it, I don't think though. Uh, Maybe that's the so that now this is technically inverse. Oops. And now this is retapped it and it's okay. Maybe it goes without me here. We want a little more of a tap than that. Some be great if we could leave some relative equal lows or something down here and get just like at least a 5 minute, if not a 15-minute pullback. We got 5 minute order block right here, 15-minute up here. And we got some stuff to play off of if they'll give us the chance. But we will see. I don't think we're gonna get an hourly retrace. Because that's gonna be way up into here. I don't see that. Equilibrium on the hour. Be from up here. Maybe. I think the 15 minutes more likely to. So 15-minute range, let's get that marked out from the last high on the 15 down to this low. So this is my equilibrium. Let's do the same over here. Can't even tell where these are. Stuff. Something like that. So now a good tap into the 15 that was made off of the opening leg, right? Here's our 930 price. Price dumps, pull back into the 15, leaving. We pop the 4 hour up. I mean, look at this. I mean, this should be everybody in America's eyes should be on these lows. I mean, we gotta, where does this happen? That's the only question. So we got a brand new 4 hour starting right now. Brand new 4 hour starting right now. Where does the wick, where is the high wick? So if we have 4 hour starts here and then pushes up, right? If it's going to be a bearish candle, we would assume you'd get that manipulation higher, making the high wick, and then you'd have a bearish close to it. Where does the wick turn around, right? Like where is that? I don't think it's way up here. That's the only 1 hour fair value gap open. There's 30-minute right here has already been rebalanced. All all I see is this 15 and this 5 minute order block. I always do that. I always leave my marker on. So this relative equal low has been swept, so I'll turn that dotted now. This is only a wick. A 1 minute didn't even close underneath that, so I'm not going to call that swept yet. It may just take it off the 1 minute structure, come into equilibrium, reject off of this. I'm not going to take it off 1 minute, but I'm not taking that trade. But may work, may not. I like the higher time frames. Now I'll definitely use the 1 minute as I'm entering, but I want my narrative, driven off of a higher time frame. Mhm. So we do now have a 5 minute fair value gap opened here. I don't hate that. Let's look at ES here. ES does not have it. Hmm. So I wouldn't consider that, it doesn't have a corresponding gap here on ES. So this is already graded lower to me. That 1 minute might tell the story. Yep, that was it. Equilibrium, reject, fair value gap, reject, target lower lows, sweep liquidity. Still didn't get a good sweep on it though. Hmm. Really want this thing to bounce up. because this 15 is, well, the reason I like it is it was made off of this leg. So if this leg was just manipulation to get people short, to get buyers out of their positions, to push this thing higher, this is going to be the key, right? This is going to have to go inverse to take, to do that. So this to me is essentially kind of midfield if you think of soccer, right? Or half court in basketball. Whoever's for the Bulls to win, they got to get past this. And if they do, then of course we can look to, take off the inverse up to London High. Maybe we scale some off here just to be extra careful, cover some profit. That would be a fine trade because we really wouldn't have much of a manipulation wick on the 4 hour, which isn't as strong to me. I really want the 4 hour to show me that manipulation and then let me see the change in character and structure, showing me like this is going to go lower. It's going to flip the candle back, the 4 hour candle back bearish from originally opening bullish. And I'm buying on that high wick of the 4 hour. You can do the same thing, same kind of thinking to the 11 a.m. 1 hour candle. That to me is how you align. Where do I think the market's going to go? Right? Like right here, this 4 hour is very clear. Right? You got very, very clear draws on liquidity on the 4 hour chart right here, all just jammed up right in this one area. So this is, to me, this area in here, this area down into here is ideal liquidity sweep area. Here's the problem. Everyone, whether it's ICT or supply and demand, people see this liquidity and they know relative equal low is good to target. The problem is the timing. It's the timing. So for me, you may have the draw on liquidity correct. And even like for time when I wasn't profitable, I would have the draw where it was going to go for New York session or where it was going to go for the whole day of New York. I would get that right, but my timing to my entries and how tight I was running stops to just like a 5 minute low or something. Overall, I had winning trades and I wasn't terrible, but I just couldn't really push to that next level. But for me now, using the 11 a.m. and the 10 a.m., the 4 hour and those 1 hour, that 1 hour candle open, I want to see if this is my draw on liquidity all down into here, then I need a bearish 1 hour candle. I need a bearish probably 4 hour candle too to really get all this taken out in this session. If all this is going to sweep in New York AM, this 4 hour candle has to be bearish. It has to, right? So what I want to see to give me further confirmation that, hey, this move is ready to go into these levels. I know these levels are going to get hit, but it may want to come up here and chop around for a day and then deliver for 2 days or whatever, right? We don't know. These using the candle and how it opens, from open, like for a bearish candle, I want to see it open, manipulate higher, and then flip bearish and go, right? And I want to be getting involved in that high wick. And same thing to a bullish trade. That's showing me, hey, this 4 hour candle or hey, this 1 hour candle, it's ready to run. Like it's showing me the big manipulation to get people in, get people liquidated. I want to be in the opposite direction on that wick, and then it's showing me that it's ready for that extension. Is that 100% win rate? Absolutely not, right? But overall, it's kept me on sides, and um, it's kept me on sides. That and having a good understanding of liquidity, that keeps me on sides. But this keeps my timing right because you know the timing is what keeps people losing longer, even when they understand a lot about this. So here's all my draws. Let's mark them. You know, even down into here, maybe that's a little ambitious, but at least previous week low, these relative equal lows, those are great draws. Great draws on liquidity to have today, right? Okay, so if these are going to get hit, what do I need the 4 hour candle at 10 a.m. New York session? More than likely, what do I need it to look like? Well, I need at least some kind of bearish candle and to sweep down into these, right? I need that. Okay, so a bearish candle is going to open higher off the rip. So I want this wick. That's where I want to that's where I want to short. I want to short off this 4 hour wick, right? Where does it make sense in all this price action coming down this leg? Where does it make sense for this wick to stop or to like, where is that U-turn, V shape, whatever you want to call it? Where is that going to stop? Okay. Well, to figure that out, you go down in your time frames, right? So you look at the 1 hour, you look at the 15 minute, look at the 30 minute. So if I look at the 1 hour, the only fair value gap I see on this leg is way up here. I don't see this thing coming way up here to just go, a few ticks lower. I don't see that. 30 minute. Here's a fair value gap right here, but this wick is already manipulated into it. So no 30 minute. 15 minute. Ding, 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 ding. 9:30 open, 15-minute fair value gap open on the leg lower. For bulls to win and these higher draws on liquidity to be what New York AM targets, this has to get inversed. This gap has to get inversed. So where is the most likely place for the top of that 4 hour wick to be? I think it's in this gap. That's obviously that's my estimate, right? Not 100% science we're working with here, but that's my thought, right? So I'm expecting my wick to do this down to this 4 hour open, and then my 4 hour candle. I don't know how much it actually closes bearish. Maybe it's a freaking doji candle. I don't really care as long as the other side of the wick is getting me through some of these liquidity points. Because it may sweep all this and then immediately start turning around, which is totally fine because I'm going to be out of the short, at all these uh, lows here. All right, so ES honestly has been the stronger index for the last, I don't know, 2 days at least. So nothing new here that it's higher up. Something else we could look for here would be the SMT into this 15-minute fair value gap. So maybe ES taps into it, but NQ falls short of it. I like that off the SMT of this high to wherever this would be. You'd call that your SMT, and then you would take your shorts off of NQ being weaker. So we'll see on that. I'm not that doesn't always happen, but that would be kind of the cherry on top. Get rid of that. All right, we're piercing the 15 here. I like it. And what do we want? Okay, if we want to use how the 10 a.m. 4 hour candle or the 11 a.m. 1 hour candle is opening kind of in confluence with what is already our idea on direction based on where is the market targeting liquidity, then what do we want to see off the 4 hour open? Yes, we want to see the wick. We want to see it run higher to then flip bearish, like I was just saying. But we also want to see impulsivity to the candles. We don't want this thing really just grinding bullish, right? We want to see some impulsiveness. Like this candle to me, I really like that candle. I really like that candle. I want to see some impulsiveness because that is telling me all that I need to know. That impulsivity is what I want in the opposite direction of where I'm wanting to trade. So let's take a look here. So this is tapped. This still hasn't. But again, we can be okay even if we had an SMT here where this tapped and this didn't. I would still be okay with that for shorts. I actually like the SMT. So now, as we're kind of waiting to start seeing this hopefully turn over after this tap here, let's look at the other way. What I believe in always, looking at both sides, right? So if we're bullish, what are we going to see? If the play is up here to London high, if that's the draw on liquidity for today, I would take a long. I'm not biased. I don't really care. But for me to get involved long and for me to say, okay, we had these relative equal lows, market open, we pushed down, we swept this liquidity out, V shape, what would I need to do? It still comes back to the 15-minute gap. I would need this to go inverse, and then I could run this up here to Asia high. Or I'm sorry, London high. That's totally an acceptable trade. Why do I not like that as much? I don't like that as much as because we're overall bearish on the high time frame. Okay, so I really want to be trading in the direction of the high time frame. And then two, look at how the 4 hour opened, right? Look at this. I have very little manipulation down. To me, my opinion at least, if this was going to be a bullish 4 hour candle, or at least a bullish 1 hour candle, this would have taken out these lows. It would have manipulated, swept these lows out, then pushed. Maybe you had an SMT at a low or something. This is a very, very tiny low. Doesn't show much manipulation occurred. So to me, um, for the market to want to go from where we are and drive all the way up to this draw on liquidity that's open, that's to me, it's going to take some serious liquidity to do that. Where is the easy liquidity? The easy liquidity is down here, right? And we're getting that manipulation up off the 4 hour. To me, this is screaming short. So we're to get my fold here ready. Make sure I'm on the right account. I'm already up on the day um, from this trade here. Oops. From this trade in here. So definitely not going to do anything too crazy on this trade. But I'm up about $893 on the funded, one of my funded accounts. So what I like to do when I'm up a good bit like that, I'll probably try to risk some of my profit if I see a good enough opportunity. Um, but I want to do it in a way that I still come out green on the day. And if I lose, then my, trailing drawdown isn't going to come up as much. All right, so this is a 3 minute right here. We'll get this 5 minute out of here because it's not really relevant anymore. 3 minute corresponding 3 minutes already been inverse over here. So that's here. So we would be looking for this down in there. And I'd probably run probably 1 to 1 to there. See if we get a pullback. This 1 minute candle or 3 minute candle's freaking melting. We want to see it pull back up into this. Hopefully we get that. So for risk on this, I'm up 800, so maybe 450, something like that. Maybe two contracts on the micro. NASDAQ, sell market. Come on now. Give us a retap here. Run without me. So everything that we've planned for here is delivering. Obviously I'm gonna be very picky on my entry already being positive today. But this is, now what do we got? We got the SMTs at the high, which I said was fine. Cherry on top, I think is what I use expression wise. So 4 hour open, impulsivity up. M15 was indeed what it wanted to draw into to get that U-turn. Now we're going to expect the 4 hour to flip back bearish or flip bearish and then continue into these other draws on liquidity lower. We're essentially just trying to find us a place to get into the action. Maybe we can look for a tap here in this 1 minute here. See if we have, yep, we got a corresponding gap there on ES as well. See if we get that. Come on, give it to me. Come on, give it to me. So now that would shift us a little lower here. Have to tighten the stop up a little bit. I'd probably try to run about a 1-to-1 to this low, just to this low, and then try to hold a runner or two down into here or higher or not a huge like uh, super high or believer or not believer. I know people do that and do fine. I just for me, 1.5 or 1 to 1.5 or uh, 2 to 1 is like probably the max you're gonna see me have. All right. Come on, make us a low wick here and flip this candle back to the upside temporarily, opening a 3 minute. And look, we're fine because all we have to do is tighten our risk a bit and size up a bit. And, you can make it, even though a little smaller than what we were originally wanting, we can still make the same profit out of it. So 4 seconds here, bam. Here is our new 3 minute gap, which I like. And then here is our equilibrium of the 3 minute. 3 minute over here is there, there, and then equilibrium is there. Whoops. So let's see if we get push back into this. We also have a 3 minute up here on both of them. If we get a kind of a drastic impulsive push up into this fair value gap, I'm going to go ahead and add. If we get a push up into here, I'm going to go ahead and sell my at least 2 contracts there. See if this thing's wanting to turn here. I'm going to delete these. Oops. And I'm just going to change this to that. Because to me, that would probably be the high wick of that 3 minute if we, well, it may not even make it there. So now, let's see, 20 seconds. Let's see if we get a 1 minute fair value gap down into this. That would be nice. So we do. Not in anything yet here. We have 1 minute here, or it could tick a little higher into equilibrium. A 3 minute up here. Maybe it could wick into. And then here's our 1 minute over here. All right, right at equilibrium. See what we get. Peek at the 5. Oh, we do have a 5 minute gap right on the. So it's tapping this 5 minute right in here. Well, this one did. Okay, never mind. Scratch that. Our candles are. That would be a fun. We don't have the 5 minute over here. This candle that goes far down. So other options here. We don't get rejection off of this. We would look to see if they caught people off sides jumping in too early for the move, which would consider this a liquidity point where most people's stops are right now. That went short. Might look to impulsively sweep through all of that before we get our extension lower. If it continues running past this point that I'm marking as liquidity, then it would be probably more productive to start looking at the 15-minute gap flipping bullish. But because of how the 4 hour opened and we have very little wick on it to the downside, I have a hard time buying the 4 hour to be a bullish candle. I would wanted to see a wick on this 4 hour like this, or at least this, taking those two out that it's literally, right on top of. That's why I'm not as uh, quick to going bullish. That and just the high time frame is bearish. But usually when I trade, I'm looking long more than short. But I don't really care either way. Yeah. The 15, like I said, when you see a 15 gap open up off the leg of New York Open, so 930 was here, big push down, right? Even if this was a bullish run up off the 930 open, watch these 15-minute fair value gaps because they're a lot of the time, in my opinion, they tell the story of which way it's wanting to go. They're just enough of a high time frame where you get a lot of data and comfortability when you see it go inverse or you see it being respected, but it doesn't keep you out of the game as long as like a 1 hour, obviously, right? So you can get kind of a jump on the move a little, you can get in it a little quicker than waiting for a 1 hour to go inverse, obviously. So the 15-minute to me is kind of the sweet spot, especially off these opening legs. So let's see if they're wanting to sweep this out. Honestly, if they sweep this out, then it's going to be pretty nice. But we'd want it to see that. We'd want this to sweep and then get get pretty impulsive coming back down. We see this thing just grinding higher through the fair value gap, then we're probably wrong. Not so much that these are wrong, right? But just our timing. that this next 4-hour candle or this current 1-hour candle is not going to give the delivery down into there. That's why I try to align it with the candles. Something also to note, we're about 22 minutes until a new 1-hour candle. And what do we see here on the 1-hour chart forming right now? Well, I see a brand new 1-hour fair value gap. So maybe it's the 11 a.m. candle that opens somewhere in here, wicks it, pushes into starts rejecting, and then that 1-hour candle ends up being bearish, looking something like that to the downside, right? It's all about looking at the time of the candle, starting where could the manipulation side of the candle, the opposite wick of which direction it actually went in, where is that going to most likely turn around? Where is that going to, hit a wall of support or resistance or fair value gap, however you want to look at it? Where is it going to hit and potentially turn around, and then find those points, right? So right now we have two to the downside. We have this 15-minute being the high wick of the 4-hour. We also have now in 22 minutes we'll have a 1-hour potentially that could be the high wick of the 4-hour. Do we care which one? No. We really don't. We just want to have our timing right with our direction. So now this is, again, I mean, this is looking good to me. So we got, right now, we've gone and made a lower high, which is obviously bearish structure. So high, higher high, lower high. We got a 1 minute right here battling right now that we'd want to see flip. So here's our 1 minute candle here. Make this green. And then get rid of this. So we do have a 3 minute as well in that spot. But we may not have time to wait on that thing. Oh, actually, no, it's closing in 26 seconds. Okay, even better. Very small 5 minute here. Bullish 5 minute. That's actually probably going to tell the story. So now it's a gamble. Do we take the 3 minute inverse short right here? Or do we wait and try to let this 5 minute close? Decisions. 2 minutes, long time to wait. I'm going to stab 2 here. All right, I'm in 2 micros there. And then if the 5 doesn't flip and we start to reverse, I'll probably close early. So the 5 is right here. So we waited for the 3 minute to inverse. We front ran the 5 minute, taking a little risk for something just like that. It coming back into it, which is what we don't really want that much. But the bias is off a much higher time frame than just the 5 minute. So Got to be a little comfortable. So my entry exactly is 84975. 84 right there. I wonder if it's on. Yeah, here we go. What is running on the NQ chart? So this is our position here. And then our first of this, make this my CP1, and then we would just let this run down to previous week low, or maybe when this takes previous week low, we'll be a little flexible on our TP2, but for TP2 now, we'll just say this is kind of where we're wanting to target. Get our stop loss on. So there's our SMT here. They're just above the SMT. I do first. Okay, got that. All right, let's look at this 5 minute. All right, 5 minute did go inverse. See if it runs back in and taps and then pulls away from it. So now this is a M5 IFEG, M5 IFEG. All right, look at that. Beautiful. I'm going to add in one more into my position here. Scaling in. So now we're at 3. This is a great reaction off the 5 going inverse. So that looks good to me. Changing stop to 3. And then I'm going to move stop down just a little bit to this lower high. Because I really don't want to see this thing now really even go through this 5 minute. But just in case we get some kind of manipulation candle, I don't want to hug it too tight. All right, so now 15-minute candle just started 3 minutes or 2 minutes ago, opened higher. So we got the 15-minute high wick, hopefully. So now we want this 15 to continue going down towards this 4-hour open. That would kind of give us full confirmation of, um, of our setup here. We do have 13 minutes until the hourly candle opens. Let me go ahead and so that's not very ideal now that I'm looking at it. So here's the hourly gap. If the hour opens and it wants to tap into that, it's right above where our stop is. So not really ideal for that, personally. I'll make sure. Let me see. All right, we want to see this thing start accelerating through that 4 hour open. Good bearish close to this candle. Be great. And now it's time to be patient, see how the cards fall for us. All right, new 5 minute. Could tick a little higher here off the 5 minute start. 15 minutes, not really giving the extension that we're wanting it to. Still 9 minutes left on that candle. Still like the trade, just hope our timing is right. Not wanting to make this lower low on the low time frame, which I don't like. Really want these lows to get taken. We do have a 5 minute opened up here. Good rejection off of it. If it follows through. Hmm. All eyes right now on ES, seeing how it looks in this fair value gap. I see the tap and push down. I'm gonna see here. All right, I'm gonna scale in one more off that close. And then I want this thing to flip here and run. This now becomes 4. I like the close. I like how that flipped. just that, just sitting on this spot right here. This is the low I need this thing to go through to really confirm that we're rolling in the right direction truly. We got about 6 minutes now till that next hour candle. I don't really like holding through an hour or 4 hour candle open. I usually like to be free to adjust at that time. 44 seconds left on this 5 minute. I want this thing to stay down some. Really want a bullish close on it. Keep fighting it down. We also have to think that we are pretty overextended. I mean, we've already sold off a good bit. So that is in the back of my mind. But the structure and the setup is there. So honestly, I probably have been more comfortable with it swiping all these lows out off the open leg and look for longs. But because it left it and it's just sitting there as relative equals, I just think that it's going to get hit. So now that I'm holding more, I'm going to add a little bit of complexity to my scaling off. I'm actually going to make this my TP1. Now this is going to be my TP2. And this will probably only be one contract down into this TP3. I'm going to scale be 75% of my position off in this area in here. All right, we want to see this thing start rocking. Come on, tip the boat. And back into the fair value. Another SMT if it holds. Probably won't though. Here it comes. It's gonna get swiped. So still like it on the high time frame. I'm honestly trying to find reasons not to like this while it's dancing around right at my break even level, but I freaking like it. I like the setup on the high time frame. Sometimes you gotta just keep yourself from picking at things. Just dancing a little bit long for me in this one spot. I don't really want that. And I really don't want to hold through the beginning of this hourly candle because it's kind of grinding back towards this hourly, which makes it even more possible for it to want to open that candle higher into this and then sell off. Because I mean, NQ hasn't even hit this 15 yet. So we definitely have some risk directly above our stop loss that I'm paying a lot of attention to. Yeah. We're about coming up on 30 seconds until the hour candle opens. Maybe the hourly can, I mean, we can also, it could also be come into our favor, where if the hourly candle is going to be bullish, it opens lower and it takes our TP1 or TP2 out on a liquidity sweep before it turns bullish. It can give us that uh, impulsivity of the manipulation of that candle's open. Here it is. But because that 1 hour fair value gap's directly above our stop loss, it could drive into that. And what's going to tell that story to me is this 5 minute fair value gap. And if I see us starting to flip that, then I'm probably going to discretion close and then pop back in once I see the high of the 11 a.m. candle wick. So hourly is definitely opening up. Just where does the high wick turn? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Now drive, drive. We want this to just kill all those lows right there. All these huddled up lows, we want these to just get killed. We want these things to just get killed here. We don't want it to make another freaking low. I want this thing to drive through, drive through. Take all this liquidity out right here. Look at all this. All this to get swept. Push, push, go, push. Yep. All right, now we want this thing to dump, start coming up on this 4 hour open price here, showing us what? Showing us that, hey, this 4 hour opened, it came higher, it made the high wick. Now it's turning bearish, heading towards our draws on liquidity. Do we have an SMT? Yes, we do. All right, so we need this low right here to get cleared for us not to SMT. So that's an active bullish SMT. We want that to not hold. We want that to not hold. I mean, it's only a 1 minute one at this time, at this point, right? Or actually, I guess a 5 minute. But it has every chance to not hold. We just want to keep our eyes on that. So we got 1 minute fair value gap here. And something else we're going to put on the, go ahead and get on the chart is that this TP1, I'm going to go and take all my risk off the table. See if this wants to hold. This doesn't hold, then this might be the low of the 1 hour wick or 1 hour candle, which we definitely don't want. So we want this thing to show us some rejection here. And we got billing range is here. So we want it to pull into equilibrium and reject. Good. Good rejection there. See if we can get us this SMT canceled out. That's our first battle that we want. All eyes at this low right here. No, sorry, this low. Go ahead and get our limits on. We got our first one here. And we're gonna do one on this low, maybe one in the middle. Something like that for now. I would scale us all three. All right, SMT's canceled. Looks good to me. See ES drive back down to its 4 hour open now. 5 minutes looking good. 3 minutes left on this 5 minute candle. We really want this 5 minute candle to just dig. Dig, 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 dig. I'm going to cancel this order in the middle. And I'm going to close that one at my discretion. So I got buy one market sitting on my phone. What I'm wanting to do, what I'm wanting to see is maybe do we get through this and then it's kind of wicks down into, down into here some, and I hit the button. Okay, good. We have no SMTs. So this low's been taken on both. Oops. Get rid of that. This low has been taken, and we have not hit this low yet. So this would be our low that we're coming up on NASDAQ. No 5 minute fair value gaps are opening higher. You have a 3 minute way up there. Another 1 minute that just got tapped right here. Mark our equilibriums of this Dilling range, which would be right here. Good rejection. Looks good. We want it to follow through. We're coming right up on the 4-hour open. See this thing flip bearish and not come back. We're going to go stop loss to break even at this first low. How are we doing on time? We still got 5 minutes on this 15. About to get a new 5 minute. 5 minutes going to close pretty good, pretty bearish. Came back up a little bit. Still looking good to me. If we get this thing to run on down through here. 5 minute opening, a little high. See it put in that high wick. And then start to flip for us. We want this 15-minute candle to at least get us through TP1 and break even. Because when the next 15 opens, it could, its high wick could run back on us. Good rejection. Let's flip this 4-hour open price right here. All eyes at the 4-hour opens. We need these things to flip and not be held as support. I like that response. Now let's push on through TP1. See if we can get us a big push on the remaining 3 minutes of this 5-minute candle. I basically want the one that I'm going to buy market off of my phone. I basically just want to try to catch the bottom of the 5-minute candle, which is hopefully through TP2, ideally. So we want this thing to keep extending. See if it gives it to us. There we go. Now push. Boom. More push, 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 push. Go, go. See if it gets one more good drive. Drive. So now we do have an active SMT on that low. Got 2 minutes left on this candle. I want to see this thing get one more extension. There she is. There she is. Now extend. Extend. Run it. run it, run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. I'm gonna sell the other one there. Or buy, sorry. All right, stop loss going to break even. Look at this 1 hour candle. Look at the 4 hour candle. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty. Look at that wick. Where did the wick go into? The 15-minute off the opening low. There's the high wick right there. Freaking sniper. Freaking sniper. Now we just let this thing do what it's going to do. Our risk is off. This is the fun part of trading. So here's previous week low for, this is previous week low. This is previous week low for ES right here. If it takes out previous week low, I'm probably just going to close. I don't want to sit in this thing all day. So I got my close button up here. Let's see if we get an extension. This 15 actually may take us, I don't know. This 15 could tick up. Start of the 15-minute candle. Ticking higher. Usually open, high, low, close, right? So ticking higher is a good sign for lower prices of the 15-minute candle. Only problem is we don't want it to go so high that it hits our break even. That is very bearish looking. I don't know if it's done. May not quite be done driving higher. See if we get a, wonder if we have any like 5-minute. I don't think we did, but we have any 5-minute structure? No, not really. I mean, you always have equilibrium, I guess. Be from here to here. If this thing's gonna flip right here. Here we go. See if ES gives us that extension past its previous week low. Here or not. I don't really see anything that sticks out to me that this is going to want to run into. Like if there's a 5-minute in here, something that hadn't been tapped, and it's likely that off that 15-minute open, you may wick into that, right? But I don't see anything there on the 5 or the 15. So See this thing get flipped here. Patience, patience, patience. This has been a tough part of trading for me is like when I now we have a 5 minute opened here. So now we don't want to see this 5 minute go inverse. If this 5 minute inverses and this starts to flip the 4 hour candle again, then I really don't want to be in the trade. And I would probably just discretionarily close. I want that exact thing to happen right there where it just taps this thing and immediately rejects for lower. That was beautiful. Let's see. Based on the extension of this 5 minute, I may try to hang on to this last contract down into NASDAQ previous day or previous week lows. I'm just going to kind of make that decision based on the candle and what I'm seeing. Not really a good 1 minute close under the sweep yet. I'm not even really counting that as the end goal. Because again, remember we have on ES, we have this new week opening gap. This low that we're trying, our previous week low is the lowest it's been in the gap. So I'm assuming, we have inefficiency all through this area. Still open. So I do think we have a little room to grind on ES to get NASDAQ to previous week low. So I think I'm going to try to hold this a bit longer here down into these lows. See if we can get this full 5 minute expansion. We got 15 minutes, still has 7 minutes left on it. In 7 minutes, we would get a new 15 minute and a new 30 minute. Probably wouldn't want to hold that. Why? Because I see this opening and I don't want to give all these profits back if it runs back up into there. So I will probably look to close this before this 15 minute candle closes. Good extension on the 5. We still got 7 minutes left on the 15, so plenty of time. Big expansion down. We want this thing to just crater. Oh, popping. Want it to pop. Not yet. See this thing milk on down. Drive. Floating profit is a hard game, hard part of this. I mean, it's better than drawdown to everyone, but you can really do yourself a disservice to your trade by cutting these that are too early. You really gotta kind of practice when is too late, when is ideal. And again, I like to loop it back to the candles timing. I don't want to hold through a 15-minute candle because a new one, because I now have an open 15 minutes for a value gap that's going to cut probably half, if not more, of my unrealized profit right now. 14 seconds left on this 5 minute. You don't really need much more on NASDAQ. See what we're looking like here. 39 points. It really doesn't even have to be as big as the last candle. I'm going to go down in time frame and look on this leg right here and see what protection I have. So I see a 2 minute up into here. See this 5 minutes start coming back down is what I want. Show me that it still wants to come lower. I still got my closed position open. All eyes now on this 2 minute right here. Need to see rejection from there. Or I'll probably just discretionarily close. So we got a tap of it over here on ES. NASDAQ's looking weaker still because it didn't even tap it. I want this 5 minute to keep getting pushed down and then flip. Last minute, 45 seconds of this 5 minute. 1 minute, 40 seconds left on the 15. Oh, decision time, decision time, decision time. Come on, give me the extension I need. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Because the 15, well, so this gap is right here. That 15 may drive higher, tap that, and then get this. Which, no, it wouldn't hit my stop, but it would suck a lot of floating profit. And we've already swept previous week low on ES. So we could have a bullish SMT at previous week low for a reversal back kind of, upwards. Not to necessarily all-time highs, but just to some bullish uptrend. 20 seconds. 15's dojing. Don't really like that. I want this thing to freaking extend. Here's a new 15. I'm very close to closing. I want this thing to, I don't want it to go anywhere near that 15 gap up here. I want this thing to get held down. Go down. Go down. Come on, flip and give my delivery. Come on. Go down. There's that corresponding gap on ES. We need to be paying attention to. So now our 5-minute Dilling range. Or no, sorry, 15-minute would be there. It's dancing. What's it gonna do? Clear some of this stuff out that we don't need anymore. Good flip to it. Now we just need the extension. Oh, and our workday is over. Now that this 15 is flipped for us in a good way towards where we want it, we don't want to see the 15 turn back bullish. We want this thing to continue to ride bearish. If we catch the basically towards the bottom of where this 15-minute candle's low is for this last sell, we'll be doing very, very good. Come over to this 5-minute. So we're holding about 25% of or exactly 25% of our original position. Had the two scale offs, two TP1, TP2. Now we're looking for our last TP for our last contract at previous week low for NASDAQ. This 5 minutes looking good, opened higher, big tall wick on it, flip bearish. Same for the 15. So we want to hit this in this 15-minute candle. So we got just at 10 minutes left on the 15. All right, new 5 is in. See if we get the run here. It put in its high wick and start to turn over. And flip. Now we want it to go. Got the button open for the close of this last position. I don't want to give a bunch of these floating profits back. Because we have already swept previous week low on ES. So there is currently a live SMT at that previous week low. That is bullish. Hopefully that gets taken out right here. Here it comes. Let's get this full extension of this 5-minute candle, 3 minutes, 20 seconds left on it. We want this thing to rip and extend. Big, long extension. And clear everybody out underneath that low. Come on now, give it to me. Oh my gosh. It's making me wait for it, man. It's alright. It's alright. I'll wait for it. I'll wait for it. I've learned to be very patient in this game here. Yep. That's what I want. Now keep going. Now extend, drive. Drive. There it is. Drive. All right. I'm out there. Dub. So we got about 900-ish off that. and then 900 off this. Good day on the fundeds. I'm going to drop this back to here for my journaling later. Keep track of those. All right. Good dub. Good Friday. Get in, get out. That's what Fridays are for. I will be streaming New York session as much as I can. I don't really trade on Mondays very much, but the rest of the days I'm going to be trying to start streaming every day. So tune in to the Zach's Trades channel, more live streams. Um, Follow on all the socials, Zach ZAX underscore trades. I'm going to be starting to post my winners and uh, other content on there. So give me a follow on those socials that you're using to follow the trading journey further. We'll see where we can get it. All right. Peace, everybody. Hope y'all have a good Friday, good weekend. Catch you all on the next one.